Honorable M.V. Krishna Rao Sahab, who has come all the way to honor me just by hearing that I am presenting a paper here. Now this is hardly a paper and I am hardly in a position to be submitting a paper. No scholar, no real student of history as such, but I do try to dabble a bit here and there. I am a staunch Hyderabadi, but I am a staunch Indian also. I am a staunch Muslim also. I feel everybody should be like that. And I have said somewhere that shame on the people who are not fundamentalists. What man are you if you don't believe in the fundamentals of your religion? Every religion teaches you to be good, and that is the fundamentality of religion. Without that, we would be nowhere. So, sir, here I come before you. Unfortunately, I had in the afternoon seen a lot of young people, and they were the ones who I wanted to say that every student, no matter how budding he is or no matter how much of an established scholar he is at the cusp always at his eureka moment. Eureka moment for everything of any nature comes from time to time, every day of the day, every minute of the day, and it is up to us to grab it. As they say it in English, that you're not getting the point. The moment you get the point, you have got the point. Then you have really understood where you need to go. So that is what is very real and actual to history. 50 years ago, when in Illustrated Weekly I read the celebrated and beloved Khushwant Singh, a Sardar, a Sikh, a very proud Sardarji, writing publicly in the most celebrated magazine that Aurangzeb, the prince who is not even 15, when he sees that there is a mad elephant rushing, he mounts onto his horse, takes a spear and goes charging towards him. So if this is being said by a Sardar, then you need to really look at the person more closely. So that was my eureka moment for Aurangzeb, and I had got the point. So now I say that when you want to read a lot of bad about Aurangzeb, please read Jadunath Sarkar. But if you want to read a lot of good about Aurangzeb, read again Jadunath Sarkar. Because I say that if the devil is in the detail, the angel is in the non-detail. Catch him in the footnotes of his book, and from there on go on to collaborate or collect material which will corroborate what you have read in the footnote. That it is, he is saying that Shah Jahan says that Aurangzeb is otherwise best suited for the job. And Dara Shikoh is quite, playful or not very serious or not very capable. So I was just trying to give a gist of how I feel that we should look at history. So I am, as I was saying, a student of history, and tahqiq, research, is my forte or is my avocation. Research means tahqiq. Tahqiq has got a root word, like every word should have. I don't know if research has got a root word, but every root word or every word has got a morality to it. Love is love, but love has also got a morality to it. Love should not be something to wanting to possess. So like that, tahqiq, the root word, means it comes from haq. Haq means haq. Haq means your haq. Haq means truth. So if you are a student of truth, you can speak nothing but only truth, to the best of your ability and understanding, of course. So my reading of the Nizam's history over a period for a very long time now I have been reading, and not just Nizam's history as such, and not particularly Nizam's history as such, but my research, this thing is always based on how wrong we were and how in the hell did this happen and how in the hell could we do that. So when I tried to get into it, I came to know that we did not do it. It didn't happen. So when I got an invitation from the good Mr. Vivek that I should be presenting a paper here, I decided that I will be talking on the 10th topic given in the list of themes that you had to write, and that 10th topic related with tribal unrest, peasants' unrest, communal unrest. So when you deal with these unrests and try to understand history in the present times, you get to see that there is nothing but mudslinging on the character of the Nizams and their rule and their people and their administrators. Nothing but that, and only malignment. Why is that so? Because today the mantra seems to be polarization through communalization, electoral benefits through Muslim bashing. Unless you portray some people badly, you can't be going to the next election with a little bit of more confidence. So for that reason, history is being written today, and when I was praising Kasi Chetty about the gentleman name this morning, that he said that, oh, I have stopped reading new Maratha history to save my sanity. Now, saving sanity, who will say that? Unless a person very sensitive, very alive to the history, and very alive to logic and reasoning, very alive to real research. Because when you open the YouTube today, what you get to hear is Vishwa ka sabse mahan yodha. Arey, he never came out of his fort. Vishwa ka sabse ye. Aisa mat bolo bhai. You are only belittling those people. Those people were great people in their own right. And they have really done to the best of their ability what good they could do. But by making them much more bigger than life size, you are actually condemning them to infamy. Because there is a lot of realism that you actually have to face. So when I read the Nizams or the Asif Jahis in the context of the tribal movement, and I find that it is being labeled as something discriminatory or the tribals being suppressed and this and that, I find to my horror that the 870-year rule of the Gond tribals was brought to an end by none other than the Bhonsalas of Maharashtra in 1750. So the death knell to the Raj, the Gond Raj, the original people of our country, is actually done by these people who take away their identity and push them into jungles, and the Gonds become Adivasis. So I feel further down that what relevance has it got to our state? And when in our state, I feel that only somewhere in the 1940s, good old Kumaram Bhimu, he comes up, takes up cudgels with the Nizam's forces and wants to, get some real right. He is just nothing but the squeaking wheel who's wanting to get some grease. And it turns into a full-fledged battle, and so many lives are lost and this and that. But Kumaram Bhim, remember, earlier on he was also a fugitive from the law. He had killed somebody. He had gone to Baldhar Shah, from there to Assam, lived there, come back a sick man, and so on and so on. But in Nizam's dominion, when he finally somehow makes it to the Nizam's court or to Hyderabad, as per Bhangiya Bhukiya, he is dealt with quite magnanimously. And Farman is given that 57 acres of land should be given for them to get rehabilitated. So all the tribal movement of Hyderabad, with any kind of an unrest being projected as on account of communal grounds, is something the creation of the Nizams and their very tyrannical rule. I feel that I need to get into it, so I got into it, and I found that there is absolutely no truth in it. On the contrary, the Rohilas and the Parabs and the Pathans that we talked of in this morning were actually hired by the forerunners of Kumaram Bhimu, who were again fighting the British for the same causes as they did in the Nizam territory. And these Rohilas, these Arabs, even Turrebaz Khan was hired by Ramji and Venkat Rao, these people who were the inspirers of Kumaram Bhimu. Turrebaz Khan, who shot at the residency over here, he, I believe, was paid rupees 20 a month as salary by Ramji. So what do we get to hear here? That there was bonhomie, there was understanding, there was trust of each other, and everybody supported the other person depending on his own equations with the person. Everybody has fought with everybody for their own reasons, and this is political Raj. The great saint at Delhi, Nizamuddin Auliya, he asked the Yadava prince of the Chalukyas of Devagiri, after Muhammad Tughlaq had looted Devagiri, and he was this man who had gone there to learn Persian. He was asked by Nizamuddin Auliya that what do you think of dacoits? Dacoits, oh my God, dacoits, terrible people, they loot, they plunder, they this, they that. So do they have any good qualities? So, well, yeah, they are people of their word, and if you have joined up with them or you have given them your word and you are being nice to them, they will be very nice to you, very protective and this and that. So then Nizamuddin Auliya, the man who is so very well versed in his religion and in his religious scriptures, he is telling that prince who has not yet converted to Islam, he is telling him, then what else are the Rajas? What else are the kings? Are they not dacoits? Do they not give you protection? Do they not take from you, oh, from now on, it is not 20%, it is 30%. So this is the kind of a kingship. As Kanchayalaya said, what kingship, sir? Who made king? Who made whom king? Get a few people, get a few horses, go into some place and say, we are here, and then you become king. People begin to pay taxes to you, so you become king. So nobody had a hereditary right, but whoever came into that position, how well they earned that position, how well they lived that position, that is to be seen. And if in the context of Asaf Jahis, if you want to see, then show me one dynasty anywhere in the world which has carried on the tradition of 8 generations where Asif Jah Nizamul Mulk the first willed that you should be taking good care of your Hindu riaya, your Hindu subjects, you should be treating them nicely, your Hindu subjects. Repeatedly he has talked about good treatment of the Hindu subjects. That was a tradition followed up till now. So such people, about such people and their people, you want to write rotten things and you want to give it to students and you want everybody to keep mum about it, do nothing about it, then somebody is being extremely irresponsible in their duty as a human being. Absolutely. Sorry, this is a little distasteful, but I am reading it. A shameful and pertinently dangerous example of it is on page 103 and 104 of the very much referred to textbook for the TPSC Group 1, 2, 3, SI and other group exams. This is a textbook being followed for many years. Recommended, of course, authorized by the government of Telangana. So it says, the book's title is Telangana Movement and State Formation. And it is authored by S. Raju. Now he is giving bullet information about Telangana movement from top to beginning. So in one chapter he says, under the heading, Atrocities of the Razakars under the leadership of Qasim Razvi, it reads, the atrocities of Razakars grew day by day. They attacked unarmed, helpless people in Chotuppal village and burnt 16 of them alive. They attacked the Gundepalli, they killed a lot of people and mass burning was conducted. In Gundapur, they caught women returning from Batkamma, bared them and made them play Batkamma. They bet the women on their buttocks. This is in textbook. And they were reveling. Lousy English, I tell you. In Bairampalli, they shot 88 people continuously and enjoyed the ghastly act. Kaloji Narayan Rao wrote a song asking for revenge of Bairampalli episode. Now these are one-liners. How can they be interpreted? It is left to everybody's imagination. And these people writing these things, they will become sub-inspectors and deputy tehsildars. Imagine the kind of a reaction they will have for Muslims when they get into official position. So many other things are written. Then Layak Ali, Prime Minister of Nizam, turned down the suggestion to ban the organization of Razakars. Then Layak Ali, Prime Minister of the Nizam, turned down the suggestion to ban the organization. Moreover, he said that the Razakars were the protectors of the people. This declaration of Layak Ali added to the reason for the government of India to initiate police action on Hyderabad state. For any student of history, I am saying, for any student of history of this kind of unsubstantiated, targeted, venom spewing should amount to hate mongering, which is a crime. If there was even half the truth in it, especially Razakar related, Lieutenant General Rajendra Singh Ji would not have told his officers, "You are going to Hyderabad to aid and assist the Nizam against the depredations of the communists and the Razakars," in that order. These are one-liners which are big counter to that. Time has passed, so many people are not there and so many people must be very tired. There is a lot that I have written and this paper I am as it is going to be giving it to them. But let me tell you that, read a little excerpt from somewhere further also, that Huda, who wrote a book, Police and Insider's View, in that he has written a chapter in which he has detailed the atrocities or the crimes committed between September 1948 and March 1951. And the figure that he is given are mind-boggling. There are about 914 murders, 350 attacks on police and army personnel, so many abductions, so many lootings, all those figures are there. And then he says that around this period, out of the 15,645 Razakars who were apprehended and arrested, 15,652 were released and only 10 were in jail. So where are the atrocities? Where are the crimes? Who are the people arresting them? Who are the people releasing them? And why are they releasing them for heaven's sake? They shouldn't be. It happened because they knew it couldn't be promoted. And Qasim Razi was apprehended for 1948. All of these figures pertain to from 48 to 51 when there was military rule. Huda says, he quotes some study somewhere. Huda says that at the peak of the movement, there were 50,000 Indian troops in the Telangana or the Nizam's area. So why were the crimes going on? When Nehru had told Mountbatten to take charge, I'm really worried. Oh my God. So he said, don't tell me. People will say you are not capable of getting independence. No, but this killings I cannot really bear. There's too much of unrest everywhere. There's too much of bloodshed going on. So Mountbatten told him, and it is there in Dominic Lapierre's book that he had said so. So shall we say that the government of India was thoroughly incapable of really managing the situation? Because by December 47, of course, quite a lull had come in the communist activity which had begun to peak after 1946. So the communist activity was a self-grown activity, was a motivated activity, it was a self-seeking activity, and it was an activity which had got a lot of politics and class affiliations attached to it. The tribals had also suffered at the hands of the upper caste people who had moved into their areas and were misusing the local lower bureaucracy and changing official records to their advantage, and the tribals were just looking on because they were not educated people. So this kind of a loot and plunder was going on by the very people who later on come to say that, oh, we were very, very badly wronged by this Nizam's rule and this and that. And it was a blessing in disguise for the people. Somebody said that in those two villages, there was terrible poverty. Yes, sir. There was poverty everywhere. Hyderabad was notoriously famous for having only two classes, rich and poor. Hyderabad city, rich and poor. But Hyderabad city did not have slums, sir. Hyderabad city did not have slums. Hyderabad city had electricity much before anybody else had. Hyderabad city had underground sewerage even before Madras had. I saw it in 70s in Madras, it was still not there. There are so many high points of the Nizam's rule that we can talk about. Hyderabad was unfortunately a Muslim ruled state, and it was a predominantly Hindu state. All of the learned people here today, they have talked of predominantly Hindu. Not one learned speaker today talked about the Marathi population, the Kannada population, Telugu, 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 Telugu. Telugu with 38%. Marathas were 19-20%, Kannadigas were 11-12% or something like that. Under the circumstances, Urdu was the best choice, for heaven's sake. Urdu lost out by one single vote in the National Official Language Commission. 15 members were there, the vote was divided half and half. So it was decided by the casting vote of the chairman in 1949 that the India's official language will be Hindi. And that gentleman, he knew neither Hindi nor Urdu. He was an English-speaking Tamilian, if I remember rightly. Urdu at that time would have connected India through its script to 53 countries in the world. It was a different world at that time. Later on we began to get choosy, we began to get picky. So we said, we did things which even if was hurtful to the Muslims, it doesn't matter. Because really speaking, they don't matter anymore. Even then it was like that, even now it is like that, which is so unfortunate. You can't just wish away 15-20% of your population like that. And any wishing away of them will only lead the country backwards or will slow down the country. Any person with sense could be saying that. So that was the situation. So in the communal movement of 1948, the Razakar, the police action and the Razakar atrocities and the killings and this and that, sir has read a paper and he has given example of two districts, so we know who the Razakars were and who the real perpetuators are there. From that book, Inside the Police or something, you can get all the figures of to what extent the Deshmukhs were grabbing common man's land by lending money and converting that loan into sale. It was an ongoing process. So don't tell the poor old Nizam whether he prayed or not sitting in Hyderabad that it was under him that it all happened. Locally there were people, strong people, and locally there were voiceless people who could not make it to Hyderabad to make their complaint known. The powerful ministers sitting here having their own hooks in various sections of the society, they were not allowing that. So all these are human failures. And don't blame that human failure on one person just because he's a Muslim. So the communal movement, when you go into its genesis, especially in Hyderabad, you see that the concerted effort was begun to be made from the very late 19th century itself. Founding up. So I have referred to, somebody was referring to Noorani, A.G. Noorani's book. I have referred to it in great detail. He has conclusively established that starting from 1875 to 1948, what were the Andhra Prathinidhi Samaj doing here? What was the Hindu Sabha doing here? What was the good old Congress doing here? What was the good old Hyderabad Hyderabad State Congress doing here? Why was Sarojini Naidu a member of it? Why did she refuse to be a member of it? When you understand all that, you get to know that this is all baloney, this is all humbug, this is all exaggeration. Nobody is defending the criminal here. Anybody who's committed a crime should be simply hanged, period, nothing, no, this thing. But you should first ascertain that whether the allegations on them are true or false. So, Sundarlal Committee report was released here. Why did the government of India keep it hidden for years and years together? God bless the soul of my good late lamented friend who inspired me into becoming a learned person somewhat, the late Umar Khalidi, whose death in America was under very suspicious circumstances. If he had not dug out the Pandit Sundarlal report from the archives in the Nehru Museum or Nehru Place, whatever, so we would not have got to know of it. After that, finally, slowly it became public. And the report is very clear, very clear. And the report I have mentioned here, it also blames the Muslims. But the report very clearly says that Muslim atrocities, especially in the areas of Maharashtra and Karnataka, begin only from 15th August 1947 and end up in 48. Because before that they did not have so much of a business to be getting here. Halanki, the court of the Rustomji IPS who went on to become the DG of Border Security Force and so on, if I remember rightly, sir, FM Rustumji, his paper, his book, and he says that my job was to recruit or to appoint home guards, put them in Razakar clothes, give them clothing and all that, and tell them to go. The idea was to go 15 miles inside, create mayhem, break down all the checkposts, break down the railway lines, break down the telephone signals, do all that which is called terrorist activity in present day times against a government which was dealing nationally and internationally. Our government was calling Your Exalted Highness, Your Exalted Highness. To that government this was being done, and it was being done by the communal elements whose history has been traced from that time, 1875 to 1948, and very eloquently given in the book, and has been quoted from various sources which has been given. So the communal movement in Hyderabad was never about Hindu-Muslims. It was about some jingoism sometimes, somebody reacting sometimes. Mind you, the first recorded the communal flare-up in India, for your reference, was in the year 1715, when Aurangzeb was long dead, and it happened in Ahmedabad, and the reaction to that was, the governor was transferred. Constable का transfer नहीं होता आज, हाँ? Governor का transfer हुआ just because he couldn't control a communal riot, no matter who was responsible for it. So with this kind of a tradition, if Muslims are day in and day out being singled out to be blamed for this nonsense or that nonsense, it is utterly shameful. It is just dragging people down, and it is taking away the real character, the real moral fiber of the people, for heaven's sake. Nowhere in the world do people stand on rooftop and say, 17 times he did it, 17 times he did it. For heaven's sake, is this something that you can do? Won't you be looking inside and saying, how could have he done it 17 times, for heaven's sake? He traveled months and months together inside, went on looting every principality and every kingdom and every so-called temple, and you were keeping quiet? So there is need for history to be understood properly, in proper perspective. One should be very proud of his leaning, and one should be very honest about his leanings. So this is what is not being taught, to look inside and see what was it. I have tried to really look around and find one word of protest or request related with Somnath temple before 1947. It was a stone throw from Mahatma Gandhi's village. It was a stone's throw from Sardar Patel's village. It was a stone's throw from K.M. Munshi's village. They just had to make a representation to the Nawab of Junagadh, and he would say, okay, fine, it's your temple, go ahead and repair it. Nobody did a damn thing about it until they thought that now is the time to bake political bread and create the issue. So you get more chance to malign the Muslims, you get more chance to give the dog a bad name, hang him from there and take away his land and take away his job and take away his bank balance and take away that. So I am here in this presentation to very vociferously and vehemently defend all of the false allegations that have been heaped upon in the name of Nizam or the Razakars upon the Muslims of Hyderabad. Kya sahab aisa karte? One person was interviewed and, acha, you Razvi, what was Qasim Razvi to you? So he said, wo kaun hai sahab? Wo kaun hai sahab? No, nahi malum. Out. You are not selected. So this was the kind of an approach to people appearing for interviews. And I say that when George Bush said that, oh, we will give them shock and awe, it was not the first time anybody was doing it, because he sure like hell gave them shock and awe. But he made sure that nothing happens to the Baghdad Museum, nothing happens to the Petroleum Ministry. So everything else was smashed and totally destroyed. That means more work for Caterpillar and this company and that company and Backlight Hylam or the kya bolte apne, Brown and Root and so on, the big construction people. So that kind of a thing was very much initiated here. Police action was over. 17th September, if everybody wishes to believe, fine. But 17th September, Hyderabad army did not come in Hyderabad. 17th September, Qasim Razvi was not arrested. Qasim Razvi was not hiding somewhere like a chuha. He was sitting there in full uniform in the office on 18th September, and they came and arrested him, and he went and he was tried. After 7, 8 years and 10 years of imprisonment, if he could not really be convicted very satisfactorily to anybody's satisfaction, then you have to think how much of a culprit he was. He was, as Panduranga Reddy Sahab said, rightly said, a braggart, a this, a that. All of that is very true. All of that, a loud-mouthed person. But if he was a war criminal, he would not have simply be left and allowed to go. It didn't happen. So communal movement in Hyderabad was a creation, and it was a creation of especially the Maharashtra people, especially the Maharashtra Brahmins, and especially the people who were having close contacts with top people in politics everywhere, and they were getting full support from everybody else from there. And they were, if they were being lawless, if they were being found to be breaking law or creating enmity and this and that, and if they were dealt with, I would say, in the most genuine, honest and lenient manner. Absolutely lenient manner. Unthinkable that so many people will do so many things. The looting of the Umri Bank, all of the other things that were done. Why this Telangana movement, why this everything, why this police action and no real significant Telugu people involved in it? Why is it that all of the movement was being led by the Maharashtrian people, having their branches in Karnataka and Bidar and in the border areas? It was a sponsored movement. And communalism, hate, was being sponsored quite meticulously for a purpose. And then the mayhem that took place after the police action, the army having come away here, some segments of the army having units from the erstwhile princely states, Baroda, Gwalior, so on, those people, even they were there. The Sikhs, they had a very big axe to grind. They had a very big grouse because they were hearing reports about the killings on the borders on the Punjab side and the Rajasthan side. So they got a little chance and they really sharpened their knives. It went on. It never got detected and it never got regretted also. But if anybody still wants to think that Nizam did not really do good, they did not give employment. Madam very rightly said that there were so many Muslim students and so less Hindu students. That is true. Learning, I am sorry, was not very common amongst Hindus, especially of the countryside, of the rural areas. But learning, no matter how much a rural area it is, amongst Muslims to the extent of reading was very prevalent and has been prevalent for the past 1500 years. Our scripture, the very Quran, begins with the word read. Read in thy name's God, in thy God's name. So, and today Muslims are not being treated as backward. Why? Because when the census people go there and ask them, "Padhna aata?" "Nahi, Quran Sharif padhna nahi aata." "Aata." Matlab he's illiterate. Matlab that little girl or that old man or that old lady, they are literate because they can read the Quran. Their parents had taken care to that extent. But literacy here is being determined for backwardness, economic and educational. And when that is being done, there are favorable figures in favor of Muslims, so they say. So if you want to vitiate the atmosphere, there are 1 million reasons that you can find to vitiate the atmosphere. And there are other reasons that I can give. I have not particularly named some notable worthies over here. But kab tak? So, thank you very much for listening me, gentlemen. I am sorry if I have in any way hurt anybody's feeling. I stand here before you as a very proud, self-respecting person. No matter where I am from Hyderabad. I remain that way. I remain Indian that way. I remain Muslim that way. I remain a world citizen that way. I am ready to face any consequence if somebody thinks that I have willfully hurt anybody. But I have had to say this because things are not being said. One gentleman who was a big officer and who was a great flyer of this, sorry, I'm making my expression very clear. So he was a great flyer of this kite called Bhagmati. This gentleman came in and he gave that kite manja. That manja, kite flying with that manja is now cutting necks. But the other equally important great officer, bureaucrat sitting next to me, he says, "Oh, bakwas hai, there is no such thing as Bhagmati." Are you say it to your friend? No. Let that thing dry down over there and then only. So it doesn't happen. Sometimes we keep quiet, and keeping quiet is like siding with the enemy, siding with the wrong person. Let us be fair and true to our country always. Let us live with honor. And like Tagore said, in that heaven of freedom, my Lord, let my countrymen awake. Thank you very much.